stop. Can't believe I live in your thought.
I was a personal trainer before we left, and I loved my job. I loved my clients. I loved everything about it. But I was working for a gym, and there wasn't a lot of freedom. Certain things that I wanted to have more control over. We got to the point where we were like numbing almost, dreading waking up the next morning. We worked kind of opposite schedules. I would work mostly afternoon to evening, and he would be waking up at 5, getting home at 5, something like that. And so we were just exhausted by the time we got home. All we really had energy to do together was like watch Netflix. He got to the point where he could not last another day. Like he was so unhappy that he was just done.
I had a great job, but it was not making me happy, not fulfilling. And so it ended up being, well, let's expedite this process as soon as possible. And I quit in the end of March. We found the RV in July and renovated, and off we go.
That I love you.
Hey, I'm CJ,
And I'm Gwen,
and this is our RV Adelaide.
and we're Little Green Adventure.
We have a Ford 2005 model E450, a Super Duty. It tows everything we need to and hauls our big selves up whatever mountain we choose to push it up. Came with really low mileage, and that was probably the reason why we chose her. We bought her with 20,000 miles, which was an impossible find for a 2005. Next up, solar. We actually have 6 of these panels. They're 275 watt panels, in total 1600 watts. And if you come with me, I'll show you the side portion, or the actual technical side of the solar. So in this back bin, we maintain 2 separate systems. So the onboard batteries that came with us are the 12 volt system that runs all of your basic RV needs. So these 2 batteries are just sealed AMGs, so we have 200 amp hours there, but we hardly ever use it because this guy back here, we have a 3000 watt inverter, 2 170 amp hour lithium batteries, charge controller to modify it all, and so basically we're our own power wall. We produce all of our own power so that we can never have to be anywhere for any amount of time that we don't want to be. We've almost never used an RV park in the last year since we've been on the road, and that's maybe my favorite part of this whole life. Last biggest part of our RV, and more or less the reason for the Little Green Adventure, is we stripped the whole side of this thing. If you've looked at us from when we first bought it back in July of 18, this had all those cool decals and everything else that had been baked on in the Californian sun, which was extremely hard to get off. I recommend a power sander if you have an older RV that you're looking to custom paint. But yeah, we did this all ourselves, set the lines, and covered all the windows and painted her up. So now she's pretty and green and definitely different.
Welcome to the inside of our little home. We'd lived in rentals only for as long as we'd been adults and been together, so we'd never really gotten to change a home to be what we wanted it to be. So having the freedom to completely redesign an RV as opposed to being stuck in a rental home where you can't paint the walls was super freeing. So my favorite thing about the house are the colors that we chose. I think on our first date, we both had an agreement that we wanted a house where each room was a different color. So that's something that we've always shared. I think that we did a pretty good job of incorporating that into our rig. We didn't like the way the manufacturer had just made everything brown, and it was kind of boring. So we added these cedar planks to the ceiling and to the wall just to make it feel more like a home. So this was originally a chair that we ripped out because we didn't need to seat that many people. This is actually a trunk that was at my parents' house. It was my grandpa's. I think it's what he used to go to pack all of his stuff in for college. This is where we keep our shoes, which even though we live tiny, we still have way too many shoes. But to be fair, we also have really big feet, so takes up a lot of space. And then we just hang our coats and stuff from this. This was actually something, we've repurposed a bunch of stuff. This is something that we used in our wedding. It was used in the arch behind us while we were getting married. And so we just kind of repurposed it as a coat hanger. So this is what we call the mud room. So even though this is the original cabinetry and something that most tiny homers can probably relate to, it can be really hard to find things. So we have these clear bins here, which make it really easy when we're looking for stuff to identify which boxes we should be searching in. This is our garage area. This storage all came with the rig. This was originally a bed that pulled out, and it had like a twin size mattress there. We didn't feel like we needed that, so we actually put all of our books in there. We keep all of those in here. Here is just a ton of storage. As you can see, it's pretty full, but it goes pretty much all the way to the end of the overhang. So there's a ton of storage space in there. And then we just added this little thing to keep our hiking stuff and backpacks and bags and that sort of thing in there. This up here is kind of Fitz's space. This is where he eats and sleeps, and we also have a scratching post for him over here. So he'll usually just kind of hang up here because he likes to be up high. So he'll sometimes crawl back and sleep within the bags as well. So this is Killian. He was our first dog that we got. He's the old man of the bunch. He enjoys long walks outside and sniffing grass. This is O'Malley. He is the anxious one of the bunch, but he's also our guard dog. He has a very vicious bark. And he is about 2 years old now, so he's a lot younger than Killian. This here is Fitz. Fitz is plotting world domination all the time, and I'm pretty sure he has extensive plans to kill us once he figures out how to feed himself. What was originally in this slide area was a dinette and then a really ugly 2005 couch. This is actually the same couch. As you can see, it's a little bit more brown than white now. So we ended up covering it with a linen cloth, and it was also really uncomfortable. So we added this like 2-inch piece of foam to it so that we can actually enjoy sitting on it now. We tend to use it more as a day bed, but it does fold up into a couch. So if we know that we're going to be parked in parking lots for multiple nights in a row, or going to have the slide in for multiple nights in a row, then we'll fold it up into a couch so that it doesn't obviously overhang way over into the space. This up here is kind of just utilitarian storage. You know those like junk drawers everybody has in their kitchen? That's kind of just how my whole brain works. I mean, it's board games, it's candles, it's like cords and stuff like that. So once again, this came with the original rig, and we just painted it. This was something we actually picked up the last time that we were staying with my parents. It was something that they kind of just had lying in a corner of their storage unit. So we do have it, we have the frame bolted down to the ground, and then when we're moving, we have like a cargo net that you would put in the back of a truck, and that hooks on to all of these handles, and there's handles down below too, just so that nothing comes off. And then we tie down the actual stuff in here with bungee cords, which every van lifer knows is the best thing that you could have. We knew that we were starting this website design company. That's how we make a living on the road. So we knew that CJ, the one who does all of the designing, was going to need a space where he could put a monitor, because looking at a tiny laptop screen is really bad on his eyes, and sometimes he pulls really, really late nights. So we needed to have a desk area. What was here originally was a dinette. Once again, 10 shades of brown. So we ripped that out, and we decided that we were just going to go with a really simple desk and computer setup. So we kept the original hardware for the most part. This fridge and the stove both came with the RV. The fridge runs on both electric and propane. So during the day, when we're getting a lot of power on sunny days, we can run it off of the solar. And then at night, we'll turn it on to propane. We don't really feel like we're compromising very much when it comes to fridge space. We never really run out of room. We have plenty of room for everything. The freezer is a little small, but nothing, it's not like a freezer you would have in a dorm room, right? Like one of those mini ones. It's still a ton of room. So yeah, we have plenty of space. Up here is where we keep canned goods and alcohol, you know, all of your essentials. This used to be a whole lot more full, but then we added the extra space of the pantry over here. The biggest change that we've made though is taking out the microwave that used to be here. Other than painting everything this beautiful shade of blue, doing the backsplash, that is something that CJ's mom helped with. She was very, very sweet to come help us with our backsplash, and then we created a new countertop as well, because once again the old one was cheap and falling apart. So we also put in a new sink and an all new faucet. The old sink was really, really small, and because we hate doing the dishes, we needed something to put all of our dishes in before we ended up doing them. Up here is where we keep pots and pans and plates and stuff like that. We have a few organizational tools, but this is kind of a hard space to organize. We still have a ton of room for any of the cookware that we could want though. These drawers, once again, came with the build, so this is just where we keep silverware. The second drawer is tea and coffee and juice, stuff like that. And then these are knives, which was also a terrible idea because all of my knives are getting dull. We need to find another solution for that. If we never feel like our kitchen is too small, we have plenty of space to cook really good meals.
From the back panel, or the charge controller, we have a wired system that comes up over kind of everything and comes to this computer. So I can check watts, the approximate volts that we're sitting at. So right now, a lot of sun, we're bringing in 17 amps, 532 watts. Being that our panels are fixed, we, although have 1600 watts of solar, that is at peak efficiency, which we hardly ever get, being in all sorts of different kinds of weather. But this allows me to check everything and monitor the batteries. I also have a separate house battery monitor from Victron that Bluetooth with my phone. And then coming down, you have the rest of the typical controller or convenience center is what they call it here from Forest River that came with the rig. But all of this together lets me know everything that we're doing, pulling, and shaking. So
this is the back of the rig. So this is our bedroom and our bathroom. The only thing that we didn't change too much, we didn't renovate, is the shower. The shower is still pretty much exactly as it was, and the main reason for that being we don't really use it. So what we will do is we'll either shower at campgrounds or at our Planet Fitness if there's one nearby. So here in the bathroom, we did the same countertops that we did in the kitchen. We replaced the sink to be above the counter, so we have a little bit of extra counter space. And then we added this little storage unit over here, which just holds all of our brushes, toothbrushes, stuff like that. These are something that I made. Once again, we used these at our wedding. They were just kind of like little things we put candles on. So I just screwed some hooks into them and made just like a necklace holder. Up here is a piece of driftwood that we found on the coast in Texas, on the southern coast. And I thought it would make a really cool earring holder. So I picked it up off the beach and put some eye hooks in it, and that's where I hold my earrings. This is our bedroom. We have a queen size bed. We actually put a full size queen mattress in here because we knew that we needed the extra space. Because once again, hate to beat a dead horse, but we are big people. This area here is usually where I work. CJ's usually working at the desk. I usually work in here. So I have kind of all of my stuff on this side of the bed. These are just cubby holes from Target that we stacked on top of each other and drilled into the wall. And then this is just a piece of live edge wood that I put over the top just to kind of extend the desk space a little bit, because I realized I really like to sit here and just look out at wherever we're parked and use that kind of as inspiration for my writing and for things like that as well. This is Fitz's bed, but he usually just ends up sleeping with us. We actually tried to move his bed to the front and he meowed at us until we moved it back so that he could sleep with us. And then the final thing is something that CJ insisted on having. We have a projector here, and then we have this screen that comes down so that we can lay in bed and watch movies or play video games or, you know, do whatever it is that we want to do. I think you have to evaluate if it's going to work for you. The cool thing about a mobile lifestyle is there's so many different ways to do it. So CJ does a lot of the work for the business. I do some of the design, the graphic design, as well as writing and editing the content. We also keep them on as SEO clients, a couple of social media things here and there. So I do a lot of that stuff, but he's doing a lot of the website building. It's been a really cool ride, like just building it up, and we're at the point now where it's like totally sustaining us and we're not dipping into savings. I think figuring out a way to make it work for you, which for some people that might just be like doing it on the weekends or taking 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off or something like that. There's always something you can do to at least take a step towards being a little bit more free. So I would say if it calls to someone, if they hear it and they get intrigued and they get excited and their heart starts beating a little faster, then look into it and explore it.
that I